Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you, and I know there's some of you out there who have been very eager for this particular video because we're finally coming back to Spright Synchro. And not only are we coming back to Spright Synchro, but I've even got some new combo lines with the deck hooked up and ready to show you all. So, for those who are not familiar and might be like, what the heck is this Spright Synchro thing all about? This is like probably just one of my favorite decks I've ever played in Yu-Gi-Oh! Certainly my favorite deck that I've ever played in, like, I don't know, whatever you want to call modern Yu-Gi-Oh! I guess for me that's like within the last decade. This has probably been one of my favorite archetypes to play. Not just Spright in general, we all know how much I love Spright, but Spright Synchro. I've been addicted to playing this deck literally since Assault Synchron came out. And since I made top 16 at the Master Circuit series, during Tier 0 format, by the way, when Tier Limit was at its like peak in power level, still managed to sneak in a top 16 with Spright Synchro. So definitely, like I said, just been addicted to playing this deck ever since. Now, ever since the ban of Chaos Ruler, this deck has been in an extremely dire state. Whereas with Chaos Ruler legal, I honestly would have made a legitimate argument for this deck to be classified as lower Tier 3. Without it, it definitely does suffer quite a bit. Is this the best iteration of Spright? No. Is this deck better than Rogue Tier? No, assuredly not. But is this deck super fun? Hell yeah. If you're ever interested in adding big level 10 Synchro monsters to your Spright inboard, then this is definitely the deck for you. So, to kind of compensate for the lack of the Chaos Ruler, one kind of engine that we have ended up adding is the Adventure engine. And last time that I played this deck, I was using the Adventure engine, and I should have a combo line with Assault Synchron and Spright Blue that utilized Excel Synchron, and I said that, oh, when Revolution Synchron comes out, this combo line gets even better. So you might be wondering, well, where's Excel Synchron and where's Revolution Synchron? Well, I do think Rev Synchron might have a place in a deck like this. I actually managed to find an even better combo line with Assault Synchron plus Spright Blue that leads you to your Synchros plus Spright board that doesn't need to go into Excel Synchron dumping the Rev and all that fun stuff. There's also a combo line where you can access a similar board through opening Ringo Worm plus Right or Water Enchantress. So before we look at the games for today, I'm going to show off some combo lines that will demonstrate that. So I do want to address some of the weaknesses of this deck, especially compared to even a more pure Spright build, right? Like, Twin Spright aside, which I think is probably just the best Spright variant, this does have weaknesses even compared to, like, Adventure Spright, namely the extra deck. It's kind of like TG Snake Eye that we talked about earlier, right? Because we are devoting so many extra X slots to these Synchro monsters, and also to the Cherubini, although to be fair, we played that in regular Adventure Spright as well, we are a little bit light on some of our extra deck options, namely the Zeus. We don't have a Zeus option here, and we also are not only limited in the extra deck, but honestly the main deck too, because if you notice, even our Spright engine is like pretty bare bones. We have like the 5 Spright monsters, and then one starter, and that's it. So I would say the biggest weakness of this deck is that it's kind of like a glass cannon, right? Like, once you do your Spright combo line, you're kind of like not able to do Spright stuff for the rest of the duel. So you gotta make that combo line really count. That is probably, I would say, after testing it, the biggest weakness of this deck. Whereas the biggest strength of this deck is, of course, adding a lot of power to an already really good end board. That, of course, being able to put Baron and or Dissipator on your board, in addition to all the Spright stuff like Elf and IP and Red and Carrot and all that fun stuff, right? So we even managed to find room for some imperms as well as a couple of triple attacks. You'll notice we are on 42 cards. That's because we do have quite a few things we're not looking to open, namely the Adventure stuff and Tagaton Borg. I've said this before and I'll say it again, but if I'm playing an Adventure deck with the Speedroid Terratop package, I'm always going to be at 42 cards at least. I just like the math and the ratio for that deck size, and then, you know, while minimizing your odds of drawing those kind of garnets or cards you want to search, while still maximizing your odds of drawing all the other stuff that you want to draw, right? So, okay, I don't know if I have much more to say about the build itself. Malong, the Golden Cloud Beast, is a new addition to the extra deck. This is needed for the combo line that utilizes Ringo Worm and the Adventure stuff. So I'll show that in action here in a moment. But Honestly, the deck and also the combo line in particular, I wanted to keep it as intact to the old build as possible, right? Like, obviously, we have adventure stuff, which we were not playing at all before Chaos Ruler got banned, but that aside, especially the Assault Synchron plus Spright Blue combo line is going to play very similarly to the combo line when Chaos Ruler was still legal. Like I said, I wanted to not only find a good combo line, but one that didn't utilize anything that was really bricky or weird or that we weren't necessarily playing before. So let me go ahead and show off these combos, and then we'll take a look at some games. Okay, so I wanted to start off with the Assault Synchron plus Spright Blue line, but we did open Ringo plus access the Adventure Engine, so I'll show off this combo line first. Obviously, normally I'd start off with Terra Top, and that makes this combo much better, but for the sake of showing a bare minimum combo line, let's assume we don't have the Terra Top in this opening hand. Also, I want you to know too that even if you don't open either of these exact combos I'm going to show you, this deck definitely does have plays beyond those, but we'll see those in the games that we're going to check out here momentarily. So let's start by setting up our adventure stuff, right? We're going to use the Water Enchantress to add the Rite of Armiseer. And I'm going to activate the Rite of Armiseer as well, summoning my Adventure token, and then placing the Fateful Adventure onto the field. Okay, after that, I'm going to activate the effect of Ringo Worm, so I control a non-effect monster. I can special the Ringo Worm from my hand, so I'll also activate the effect of Fateful Adventure, which will let me add the Dracoback from my deck to my hand. Next, we're going to activate the Fateful Adventure effect, but unlike pretty much every other situation where you would be doing this kind of thing on turn 1, I'm actually not going to add Wandering Griffin Rider here. That probably sounds extremely weird, but we're going to use the adventure stuff as materials for our combo, not as part of our end board. So I don't want Wandering Griffin Rider here. I actually want to grab another Water Enchantress. And to be fair, this particular combo line, if you start off with Water Enchantress, is only possible now that she's at 2, because you do actually need her on the field in order to do the plays that I'm about to show you. Let's bin the Draco back here, and we're going to use the token as a material. I guess I'll activate this anyway, but it doesn't matter in the long run if the Dracoback is actually equipped, because we're going to sync with it here in a moment. But before we do, we want to activate the other effect of Water Enchantress. Since we have the Adventure token in play, we can then special summon her to the field. Okay, now that we've done that, we're going to Synchro summon for our Golden Cloud Beast Malong using Ringo Worm and the Adventure token. Now, when Malong is Synchro summoned, you can either increase or decrease the level by 1. We want to use this effect, and I want to decrease the level of Malong by 1. Now we have our level 5 tuner and a level 3 non-tuner, which means we can Synchro summon the Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon using Malong and Water Enchantress. We can go ahead and throw that right over here. Alright, Excel Synchro Stardust is going to activate its effect, bringing back that Ringo Worm that's in our graveyard. Now I want to Synchro summon for the Bestial Dissipator in this situation. It does have to be Dissipator for the bare minimum combo line. You can't go into Baron de Fleur because the Dissipator is going to give us the extra material we need to actually make a Spright play. However, if you had any other extender, you could actually make Baron if you wanted to instead here. Next step is to banish the Ringo Worm from the graveyard, and why we need to make exactly Dissipator for like this minimum setup here is to actually bring back the Ringo Worm from the banish pile. Now we have 2 materials that we can use on our field in order to make the Spright Elf. We're going to use the Ringo Worm and its token. Okay, now we get to activate our Elf effect. We're going to bring back the Ringo Worm that's in our graveyard. Now we can overlay that Ringo Worm with our Elf in order to make the Gigantic Spright. Throw that right over here. We haven't touched our Spright line at all yet, so we're going to activate the Gigantic. We'll detach the Ringo Worm in order to special summon the Spright Blue from our deck. And from here, it's like pretty basic Spright stuff, right? Blue effect to add the Jet. We're going to then summon the Jet as soon as we're able to right here, and then activate Jet's effect in order to add Spright Starter from our deck to our hand. We have another Elf in our extra deck here, so I can just use the Blue and the Jet to make the second Elf. And from there, we can activate Starter for either Red or Carrot. We already have Dissipator, and also in a vacuum, I kind of like Carrot a little bit more than Red. So we'll just go ahead and make the Carrot. If you wanted to, you could end here, or you could also go into your IP Masquerena using the Carrot and the Gigantic. And then during your opponent's turn, you can use the Elf to bring back the Carrot once again. And there you go. This is the kind of setup you can get with Ringo Worm plus the Adventure Token. You've got the Spright Elf, as well as the IP Masquerena, ready to go into the Avermax. Again, we can also use Elf in order to bring back the Carrot during the opponent's turn, potentially get a spell or trap card negate. We also have the Underworld Goddess as an IP target in here as well. Nightmare Unicorn actually would not be bad. There have been a couple of situations where it has kind of potentially come up, so could see myself playing that as well. We also, of course, have the Bestial Dispater and a card in our banish pile to be able to destroy an opponent's monster if they don't banish their own stuff to allow us to negate. So there you go. I do, again, also want to show off the Assault Synchron plus Spright Blue combo line. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll watch these duels here. Alright, so, wow, we opened, like, this hand is gas for days. Holy crap. But, as always as ever, I'm going to just show you comboing with the bare minimum stuff here. So, this is going to be the Assault Synchron plus Spright Blue combo line. If you open these two cards and nothing else, you can end on a Spright board plus Baron and a Dispater this time. Here's how. We're going to start by activating the effect of our Assault Synchron and summon that to our field. We can then special summon Spright Blue because we control a level 2 monster. I also want to note that the last combo line did not use a normal summon, and this one will not either. Fun fact. Alright, now we're going to add Jet. We definitely want to add Jet specifically. We're going to special summon Jet. We're going to use our Jet effect in order to add a Spright Starter. Adding Spright Starter here is very, very important. That will very much come up later. So make sure that you're going blue for Jet, right? Alright, now we're going to Synchro Summon for Cupid Pitch using Assault Synchron and either one of the Spright monsters. It doesn't really matter which one. Okay, Cupid Pitch's effect is going to increase its level. Kind of like Malong, it has the ability to increase or decrease. We want to increase the level of Cupid Pitch up to 6. Now we can sync for 8. I'm going to make the Excel Synchro Stardust. Like so. We're going to activate the Excel Synchro Stardust as well as Cupid Pitch. Well, Cupid Pitch is a mandatory effect, so that'll activate automatically. It's always going to be Chain Link 1 for that reason as well. Chain Link 2 is going to be the Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon. So we're going to use the Excel Synchro effect in order to bring back the Assault Synchron that is in our graveyard. And then we're going to use Caligo Clawcrow, or rather, we're going to use Cupid Pitch in order to add Caligo Clawcrow. Funnily enough, this also has 600 defense to Terra Top. You could actually add this, and then normal summon it, and then special Takaton Borg. But here I'm going to grab the Caligo Clawcrow instead. We are then going to special summon the Caligo Clawcrow. Now, it might be tempting to just sync for 10 right now, and make either Pater or Baron. It might also be a little tempting to activate the Excel Synchro Stardust effect. But you actually do not want to do either. The reason for this is because we're going to end up using the Assault Synchron effect when Excel tributes itself, but Assault Synchron has to already be in the graveyard in order for it to be able to activate its effect to bring back the Excel. So to make sure that that's possible, what we're going to do here is we're going to use the Caligo Clawcrow and the Assault Synchron in order to make the Sprint, the Spright Sprint. Now we're going to activate our Spright Sprint effect in order to send a Ringo Worm from our deck to the graveyard. Because we've already Synchro Summoned to this turn, I can use Ringo Worm's Graveyard effect. This will banish it and then summon a level 2 token to our field. Now, yet again, don't just go for the Dispater or Baron from the extra deck like this. Now we want to activate the Excel Synchro Stardust effect. It'll tribute itself, summon out regular Stardust from our extra deck, and now we can Synchro Summon. You gotta make Dispater first in this situation. We're gonna make both Baron and Dispater, but we need to make the Dispater first here. We're gonna throw that right over there. Now we get to activate the Assault Synchron effects because it was already in the graveyard when our Dragon Synchro monster was tributed. So we get to activate that now and bring back the Excel Synchro that we, again, tributed earlier. Now we're going to activate our Bestial Dispater effect. We can bring back either level 2 tuner here. It doesn't really matter which one. I'll just get Ringo Worm here. And now we can Synchro Summon for the Baron de Fleur using Ringo Worm and the Excel Synchro Stardust. Alright, now that we have established our high-level Synchro monsters, we can go ahead and just use Spright Starter. It's okay for us to be 2 locked for the rest of the turn. It's not going to really matter moving forward. Here we can get either Spright Red or Carrot. It actually doesn't really matter which one, because we're going to end up pulling both out of the deck. Whichever one you summon, you're going to overlay it with the Spright Sprint in order to go for a Gigantic Spright. Now we can activate our Gigantic Sprite's effect. Let's detach the red here. We can pull out the other one you didn't summon, in our case, Carrot, from the deck. Now we're going to link our Gigantic with whatever we summoned from the deck in order to make Elf. And then Elf effects can bring back Carrot or Red, whichever you prefer. Again, I prefer Carrot, not only because we have Dissipator on the field, but I think in a vacuum I slightly prefer the Spell Trap negation. And there we go. Now on the next turn, on your opponent's main phase, as soon as you're past priority, you can use Elf to bring back Red. Then you'll have Elf, Red, Carrot, Baron, Dissipator. That's 4 negates, as well as Elf target protecting 2 of those negates. So there you go. Also, I was thinking about it during the middle of the combo line just now, but if I had added Speedride Terratop, I think I would have actually ended with an extra material. And you could also make IP if you did it that way. So it's actually your choice to end on, well, you're always going to have Elf plus Baron plus Dissipator plus Red or Carrot, but instead of the other Red or Carrot, you can optionally have an IP instead, if you would like to. At least if I'm, yeah, because the thing is too, as I mentioned before, we didn't use our normal summon, and we could have used the Cupid Pitch to add Terratop. So we could have just normaled that, special Toktom Borg. Huh, in that regard, you might not even actually need Caligo Clawcrow. Holy shit, I didn't even think about that until just now. That's kind of wild. But yeah, that's kind of what I've cooked up as far as combo lines so far. Now let's take a look at some games here. Alright, starting off with our first Duelist Cup game. Being the Duelist Cup, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know exactly what deck my opponent's on. I suspect this opponent might have been on Brandon. Now, after seeing those combo lines, I'm sure you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, fine. I mean, these combo lines are all neat in solo mode, but what can you possibly do into Interruption? This game will actually demonstrate exactly what we can do into Interruption. So, as you can see, we have an all-gas hand here. Love to see a hand like this. Going to start with the Terratop. It's going to get hit with the Infinite Impermanence. But again, we don't actually need Terratop to resolve for our combos with a hand like this, because as you can see, we have Assault Synchron plus Spright Blue, which, as I just demonstrated, is enough for a combo line by itself. Gonna special the Synchron, the Synchron and the blue. Grabbing Red because I already have Jet in hand. I'm gonna summon Red before the Jet, just in case my opponent might have like a nib or something. Syncing the Assault Synchron and the Spright Blue into our Cupid Pitch. Cupid Pitch F will bump its own level up before syncing with the Jet. This is all, like I said, part of the combo line that we just covered here a bit ago. So, South Stardust effect is going to activate. Of course, the Cupid Pitch will activate first. Opponent does have a Bestial Druiswarm, though, so that's going to eat the Assault Synchron out of the graveyard. And this is kind of the main reason why I think they might have been on Brandon. But, so no kind of full combo line here, but we just got to add the Caligo Clawcrow. I'm actually going to link off the Red and the Terratop in order to make the Spright Sprint in a situation like this. Now I get to use Sprint to dump off the Ringo Worm anyway. Ringo Worm F will banish itself to summon the token. Gonna sync the Ringo Worm with the Assault, or the Excel Synchro rather. Now, I could have made the Dissipator here and had an extra body, but I didn't think I actually needed it here. I can actually use my normal summon for the Caligo Clawcrow, and then overlay into the Gigantic. To be fair, I could have also started for blue and then specialed Crow, because I'm gonna get 2 locked anyway. Opponent's gonna activate Ash Blossom against the Gigantic Spright. You'll notice I have the Call By in my hand, and I didn't use it. You might be thinking, well, what's that all about? You didn't even use your Call By? Yeah, because I don't need to here in this situation. I'd actually rather save the Call By, because I have a different plan in mind for it. I already have Spright Starter in my hand, so I can keep advancing my board state anyway, and my plan is to use the Baron to pop the Druiswarm, and then use Called By's effect when the Druiswarm effect activates. That way I don't have to waste my Omni Negate to stop it, and then my opponent won't have an extra body on the board to make plays with during their next turn. Yep, so like I said, here is a Spright Starter anyway. I'm going to pull the Carrot out of the deck. Again, I generally prefer Carrot, but especially here I was pretty sure my opponent was on Brandon, so gonna summon out the Spright Elf. Elf effect will bring back the... Oh, I brought back Red. That's interesting. Although, to be fair, I could bring back carrot from the opponent, or on the opponent's turn. And also what I could do here, if I really wanted to, is, because I just activated the Baron effect to target the Druiswarm, right? My Elf is actually target protecting both my Red and my Baron, so Druiswarm has to pop Elf here. But even in that situation, I think I would still use the call by, because then on my opponent's turn, like I said, I can use Elf and bring back Carrot, and then boom, I still have 3 negates and Elf, even though I got disrupted, going into my opponent's 3-card hand. See, my opponent doesn't even want to play out the rest of the turn here, or the rest of the game here. Normally, I don't like to show duels that are only 1 turn long, but this one actually was a pretty good back and forth. I had a lot going on, despite the fact that it was only my 1 turn. And I really wanted to start with this game to kind of silence the naysayers, because it is a criticism I've received from some of my pile decks in the past, where people are like, again, they're like, oh, sure, I mean, if you don't get disrupted, this is all in the well and good, but a real opponent's going to have multiple cards in hand to stop you. Yeah, just like our opponent did here. And guess what? We still had a more than good, we actually had a great, didn't mean to do a Frosted Flakes jingle there. We had a fantastic end board here. 3 negates going into our opponent's 3-card hand. I would call that pretty good, especially for playing through Disruption, all of which resolved, by the way. Didn't it, right? The Imperm resolved, the Ash resolved, and what was the 3rd card? I actually don't remember what the 3rd card they disrupted us with was. It was the... Oh, it was the Druiswarm, of course, and then that ended up, of course, resolving as well. So, three disrupts, they all resolved, and we still got our opponent to concede before our turn 1 even ended. So, let's take a look at some other duels here. More games showing what happens when things don't go exactly according to plan. Okay, so for this next duel, I always want to go and say the deck's name, but this happens every Duelist Cup. Can't check our opponent's deck, so I don't know exactly what they were on for sure. We are going to be taking the first turn again, and as you can see here, we don't really open any Synchro plays, but the cool thing about this deck and the way that it's built, and I designed the deck to be this way on purpose, is I wanted the deck to be able to have plays even if you don't do any amount of Synchro summoning, right? So here we have the pretty standard kind of adventure Spright setup here. We have the Terror Top going into the Cherubini. The Cherubini, of course, going to bin the Water Enchanters from the deck. We get to use the Rite of our Messire. I even get to special the Carrot because I have the link to Cherubini on the field. So I'll use that to add the Draco back, and then use the Fateful Adventure, sending the Draco back to special the Wandering Griffin, or to add the Wandering Griffin, rather, which will then special, rather. So Draco back also, of course, gets to equip from the graveyard when it's sent there as well, so we'll go ahead and do that, specialing the Spright Jet in order to add us a starter. And yeah, I mean, you can already see here how we're going to have a pretty solid end board without even touching the tuners or synchro monsters from our deck here. In that regard, though, I do think this kind of ends up being one of the reasons why this build is probably not optimal, because you really don't need the synchros to be ending on boards with lots of negates in a deck like this, right? And I'll be the first to admit that. I love this deck. It's one of my favorite decks to play. Is it optimal? No. But can a non-optimal deck still be good? Oh, yeah, of course, absolutely. I think it is one of the biggest faults of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community as a general to only pay attention to decks that they think are optimal, and also to insult decks that they think are unoptimal. But unoptimal builds will definitely do well a lot of the time. Yeah, I'm remembering this game now. So this is actually going to be against Vanadium. They very smartly led with the Pearl-Rhino here, which kind of led me to believe they were on tier limits. So we're going to use the Carrot to negate the Pearl-Rhino, and then I'm going to use the Elf to immediately summon back the red that I sent off of the Carrot. That way I can still keep all my negates up, even as my opponent starts a new chain link here. Sure enough, they were going to follow up with the Calarium here. Calarium is going to add the Monadium Beak. They get to normal summon the Rimheart, and you might have noticed they very wisely elected to not activate the effect of Rimheart here. That's because if they had used Rimheart's effect, I would have used Spright Red and sacked the Spright Elf specifically. The reason I would have sacked Elf is because if you sack a Link or Rank 2 monster, then you get to also destroy whatever you negate. So if I had negated and destroyed Rimheart, they can't special summon Meek, and their plays are probably just done at that point, right? So very, very smart move on my opponent's part here. They threatened to go to battle phase, so I figured I would just make my Avermax here and just call it good, right? They do have the Visas. I'm going to end up using my red to negate that. I don't want to negate and destroy it, not that I can here, but I'm just going to negate it with the Carrot, or by sacking the Carrot with the red, rather. Alright, now they get to Synchro Summon for the Mariam Trisukta. Definitely holding my Omni-Negate for last here. Trisukta is going to target the Meek, but I have a Call By, which only stops this one Meek from coming back. But now, even if my opponent does have another Manati and Meek in hand, they're not going to be able to use the effect of Meek this turn, or the next one for that matter. But yeah, opponent moves to battle phase in vain. A lot of people don't know that Avramax redirects all attacks to himself, so opponent was not able to battle with anything else on my field. At this point, it's as simple as bouncing my opponent's Trisukta, switching everything to attack mode, and then just smacking my opponent down for lethal. Alright, there you go. Here is a game won without even having to use the Synchro half of our deck. Good stuff. I've got one more duel I want to show us here. At least one more. I think I have one. Yeah, one more. So let's check that out. Alright, so we're hopping into the final duel of this video. If I recall correctly, this should be a going second game. That way we don't just see me, you know, opening. Yeah, going first every time. Here we go. Going second here. We do have Nibiru. We have Nibiru, and the rest of our hand is looking pretty solid as well here. Opponent's going to be on TG. And as you can see, they are definitely on a more pure build. Rocking the Cyber Magician and the Eagle Booster. Going for the Mighty Striker. Mighty Striker is going to add the All Clear. Thankfully, I've played TG, so I kind of know what's up. But I think the choke point might have been a little obvious anyway. It's going to come up here in a moment, so yep, they get to use the effect of All Clear to do an extra normal for the Screw Serpent, syncing the Screw Serpent with the Booster Raptor they brought back in order to summon the TG over Dragonar. Over Dragonar is going to revive a total of 5 monsters from our opponent's graveyard and lock them into TGs. I could not imagine a better moment to go ahead and drop a rock onto our opponent's board here. Boom, there it is. Now, the Nib does prevent me from specialing the Terratop, but I also already have the right in my hand, so I'm not really worried about it. And our opponent just freed up our board anyway, thanks to that Raigeki there. Alright, Spright Starter was definitely not a necessary draw at all, but we'll take it, you know. Definitely could have had worse draws. Oh, if I had opened, if I had drawn either Assault Synchron or Ringo Worm here, it would have been like a disgustingly long Synchro combo for the victory here. But you know what? Again, as I touched on, you don't even need your tuners in order to be able to make plays in this deck. Alright, Dracoback's going to activate. We're bouncing the Nib token, linking off the Terratop and the Takatom board for our Cherubini. Cherubini F, I'm still going to activate here to send the Water Enchantress and get the attack boost. Gonna start her for... I got a blue anyway. I should have gotten a... well, I could have... It didn't really matter. Well, kind of did matter. If I'd gotten a red or a carrot, I could have special blue and gotten the other one, had both a monster and a spell trap negate, but our opponent has an empty board. We're just going to swing in for lethal anyway. It so doesn't matter at this point, so... Okay, there we have it. There is our final duel for the video, and yeah, that's going to go ahead and do it. Hope you all enjoyed this build. I'm definitely not done tinkering with this deck, and if you have any ideas for it, I'm definitely all ears. There's some other things that I've had ideas for, because mainly the main way to like combo with this deck is to just get a level 2 tuner and 2 level 2 non-tuners onto the field. And Assault Synchro plus Spright Blue is one of the easiest ways to do that. That also keeps your deck really consistent. You could also do Deep Sea Diva plus any Spright monster, but then you have to kind of run awkward, bricky monsters with Diva. Diva only works when you normal summon her. You could use Live Twins. Live Twins are highly searchable, and Assault Synchron plus any Live Twin will do a full Spright Synchro combo line. The main problem with Live Twins is that if you want to include the Evil Twin stuff in the extra deck, that's going to eat 3 to 4 slots in your extra deck right there from an extra deck that's already pretty tight on space, honestly. So, also the Evil Twins and Live Twins don't work with the Adventure Engine, so that would have to get taken out, which means Ringo Worm isn't viable anymore. So, yeah, that's kind of like the main roadblock I find with doing Twin Spright Synchro and also wanting to play Ringo Worm. Cyber Skagit, if you're wondering what happened to Cyber Skagit as well, unfortunately, that combo line, you have to banish the Ringo Worm in order to make the level 8 Synchro, the Excel Stardust, and then you don't have a tuner monster to bring back with it. So that line doesn't really do as much anymore, or at least Cyber Skagit doesn't do as much as I want it to. As far as I know, but of course, like I said, I'm going to keep exploring this build and the potential combos, going to keep cooking in the kitchen, and if any fellow chefs out there have some spice for me, I'd definitely be open to hear it. But yeah, that'll do it for this video, so let's move now to our outro. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. That means a lot to me. It's also a great way to support the channel, so thank you very much in that way as well. If you're interested in supporting the channel in other ways, like the very special patrons that I am thanking here, you can do so by checking out some of the links in the description. One of those goes to the Patreon, where you can join these fine folk and support the channel that way. I do post daily content over on Patreon, so you do get something for support there. And if you're interested, I also have a coaching tier option as well. Details again will be on Patreon in the link below. Also in the description linked below is my Twitch page where I stream a few times a week. You can go ahead and check that out, follow or subscribe over there if you ever want to catch me live. You'll also find my second YouTube channel if you feel like subscribing over there to watch some of the Twitch VODs as well as some additional non-Yu-Gi-Oh related content that I make over there. Again, any of those links you want to check out is all a great way of supporting. But again, even if you don't do that, just watching was also a fantastic way to support. And once again, I have to thank you so very much. But in any case, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out, and I'm hoping you have a fantastic day.